Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something I think is absolutely fascinating. We are going to completely deconstruct a single, highly evocative image. We're peeling back the layers of this one snapshot to uncover the profound story it tells us about modern mobility, history, and how we actually live in cities today. It's honestly amazing how much narrative can be packed into just one frame if you know how to read it.
So let's frame this whole thing around one big question. What actually happens when modern engineering collides with centuries of history? It's a collision we literally walk past every single day, without a second thought. But when we freeze that moment in time, we start to see this beautiful friction between the world our ancestors built and the technology we're using to navigate it right now. All right, here is our sole focus for today. Take a really good look at this beautifully composed shot. We've got a scooter parked on a cobblestone street, soaking up that gorgeous sunrise, or maybe sunset glow. On the surface, sure, it's just a nice picture of a parked vehicle. But as we break down these visual elements piece by piece, you're going to see it's actually a masterful visual essay on how contemporary life slots itself right into ancient infrastructure. To really unpack what's going on here, we've got to talk about a core concept: juxtaposition. It's basically the engine behind why this image is so powerful. When you put two totally different things right next to each other, they don't just sit there. They amplify each other. The old looks older because the new is right there. The new looks sharper because it's framed by the old. That's exactly the lens we're going to use to look at this today.
Let's start with Section 1, the urban canvas.
Let's look past the scooter for a second and focus right on the ground. Use your imagination a bit here to actually feel the bumpy texture of that ancient street under your tires. These aren't just decorative rocks, right? These cobblestones are from a totally different era, an era of horse-drawn carriages and walking everywhere. They're uneven, they're worn down by centuries of weather, and they really represent the heavy, immovable reality of the historic city. Now, what's super cool here is how the soft, directional lighting completely transforms that canvas. Photographers call this the golden hour. Just look at how that light catches the ridges in the cobblestones and throws those long, dramatic shadows. It warms up the stone of the distant buildings and highlights those ornate carvings. It just gives this deeply romantic, almost timeless vibe to the very foundations of the city.
Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of the Ludix HD.
Let's zero in on the machine itself. This thing is a pure product of today's engineering. We're talking a sleek, flawless black finish that literally reflects the world around it. You've got chrome mirrors sticking up like little antennae, and that super compact step-through frame, which, by the way, is tailor-made for the stop-and-go chaos of dense city traffic. And of course, there's the crisp white Ludix HD branding stamped right on the side. These are the absolute hallmarks of modern mass production. When you pull back a bit, notice how all those modern elements we just talked about totally pop against that blurred, old-world backdrop. Check out the silver wheels, the front disc brake, the exposed engine block near the back tire. The scooter is just resting there on its center stand, almost posing for us. It's lightweight, it's functional, and its smooth surfaces are literally reflecting the historic environment it's parked in.
Which brings us to Section 3, cobblestones and cathedrals.
Let's shift our gaze way into the background now. This architecture is silently screaming permanence. Over on the right, you've got these incredibly intricate stone facades, statues just quietly watching the street from their niches, and way off in the distance, a massive Gothic spire stretching into the sky. Think about it. These structures took decades, sometimes centuries to build. They are the ultimate definition of permanence. And this is the exact friction we're talking about. It's the ultimate face-off. On one side, the old world. Gothic spires, stone statues, architecture built to outlast empires. On the other side, modern engineering, crisp branding, squishy pneumatic tires meant to soak up the bumps of those old stones, and lightweight mechanics built for speed and efficiency. It's the heavy, ornate past staring down the lightweight, functional present.
Let's head into Section 4, the golden hour glow.
Here's where it all ties together beautifully. That golden light is bathing everything equally. Look over to the left. See those vintage multi-bulb street lamps? Total throwback to the era of gaslighting. Now draw your eye down to the scooter's single high-tech headlight. It's a crazy contrast, right? The old way of lighting a street versus the focused modern beam. But because that warm sunlight wraps around both the ancient iron and the modern chrome, it forces them into harmony. The light doesn't judge, it just illuminates the whole timeline of human invention all at once.
And finally, Section 5, old world, modern mobility. This whole image works so well because of that friction, sleek plastic rubbing up against rough stone. But it's also about harmony. I mean, think about it. Why is a tiny scooter even there? Because those streets were built for people and horses, not giant SUVs. Modern tech actually had to adapt its shape to fit the ancient city's footprint. So this isn't just a pic of a scooter. It is a single snapshot capturing centuries of urban evolution, showing how we somehow navigate centuries-old spaces with today's technology.
So, let's take in the whole scene one last time. By breaking down the lighting, the architecture, the textures, and the scooter itself, we've basically flipped a standard promotional shot into a really rich story about urban life. You've got the heavy permanence of history setting the stage for the fast, sleek, and temporary nature of modern mobility. And it all exists right there, completely balanced, in one perfectly lit frame.
I want to leave you with something to chew on. Tomorrow morning, when you're out on your commute, just look around. Where do you see the past and the present sharing the exact same space? What modern gadgets or machines are sitting right next to centuries-old brickwork in your own neighborhood? Once you start looking for this stuff, you'll realize history isn't just locked up in a museum. It's quite literally the pavement beneath your tires. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes peeled out there.